On today's show, Polestar unveils its next electric car, car awards are out, and well, a lot more. G'day, my name's Chris, and this is your show about everything happening in Australia and well, from around the world in the space of renewable technologies like electric vehicles, solar, battery, wind, and a lot more. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. It really does support the channel. And if you want to take it to the next level, join these awesome individuals over here on Patreon, where you get exclusive behind the scenes content, polls, news, and things that, well, you just don't get here. You get the idea. Big, awesome thanks to my producer levels, and there's Ashley Hill, Ray Johnson, Tessa Ngong, and Nigel Farrier. And this episode is also sponsored by Tesla Taxi Australia. If you want to give a Tesla a go, or maybe you've got one yourself and you want a little bit of side income, check these guys out. You can get some great rates for these just by using my code YTV38. Links are below, and yeah, thanks to Tesla Taxi. Let's get into the first story, and well, this one is firmly a concept car. Yes, I know, I don't normally like bringing these things because they don't always make it a market, but you know what, at the moment, the news is very light on. So, let's get into it, shall we? Polestar unveiled its envisioned precept electric car, and well, it's a good looking vehicle. This long wheel-based car with suicide doors features a stunning interior which is made from like 100% recycled PET bottles, plant-based materials, waste and recycled cork from the wine industry to not only make the car less taxing on the resources, but to also reduce the car's weight by 50% to 80% compared to traditional plastics. The center dash is a large 15-inch screen with proximity sensors to bring up information only when you approach it. Running the infotainment system is Google Auto, with of course your "I'm not spying on you" promise, Google Assistant. The benefit of incorporating Google is of course like its deep ecosystem, but also when the car's parked or charging, you can do video streaming and more on it. Front and center, the driver has a 9-inch horizontal display which contains the usual information, and it's linked to eye tracking, so to adjust the way information is presented. Smaller and more detailed when the driver is focused on display, and larger and brighter, and only with vital information when focused on the road. Whilst I love the massive panoramic glass roof, which goes much further back because they've replaced the rear window with a video feed instead, the thing I don't like about this car is that it's got this roof-mounted LiDAR pod. It looks better than Waymo or Uber, what they've done to date, but still, it looks a little bit Batman-esque like. Yeah? No? Put your thoughts below. Featuring Pilot Assist for semi-autonomous driving, they, like Tesla, promise to bring advanced driving technology with over-the-air updates as soon as they become available. Solar panels on cars. They're not a new thing. Indeed, Elon has said that it'll be an option on the upcoming Cybertruck, and Dutch clean mobility company Lightyear hopes to mass produce its long-range solar-powered electric vehicle, the One, which also features like solar panels integrated into the car panels. Now, I ask you, what do you suppose an issue with these integrated approaches might be? Accidental body damage? You guessed it. So, maybe then, French company Ascar might have the solution. Unveiled recently, they have demonstrated their flexible solar panels that actually retract when they're not in use. The system seen here on a Gazelle EV is rolled and stored in the boot when not in use. And when you park the car, it can deploy in a minute or so and provide up to 15 kilometers of range per day, so long as you park it out in the sun for at least 8 hours of that day. Yeah. Now, from just 9 Ascar solar modules, this thing will cover about 4 square meters, and it's, well, super light. Just 450 grams per square meter. That's like 30 times lighter than existing technologies. The system, which I'm unsure if it can be installed on existing cars, can be deployed up to 50,000 times. So, pretty impressive job. So the good? Well, it's light. It isn't part of a body panel, meaning that dings in car parks won't ruin your energy collection, and in turn keeps the car looking like, well, a car, instead of something like this. But it would be easy for thieves to steal, maybe? Obviously, if you park your EV in a garage all day, this will be something that you won't want to get. But nonetheless, anything that adds like 3 kilometers to your car is a good thing. Take a look at these photos. What do you see? Mountains, empty streets. These photos have been taken recently, post-isolation and business closures, which, unsurprisingly, are improving our air. Looking at Australia, it appears as though the same is occurring here, I think. It's hard to say, as the only sources I and that my awesome patrons could find was either a bit light on or very much broken at present. So, with some trepidation, I decided to go look into the published research around it. Why? Well, I want to understand what it means and, well, to understand the link between X, Y, and Z, as it, well, isn't as clear-cut as some make out. In particular, you've more than likely seen articles like these, which linked air pollution with mortality rate for people who have contracted COVID-19. This one by researchers from Harvard University examined data from about 3,000 counties in the United States. That covers about 90% of the US population and suggests that an increase of only 1 microgram per cubic meter of PM2.5 is associated with a 15% increase in the COVID-19 death rate. Or this one, by Aarhus University in Denmark. They found that the mortality rate is up to 12%, whereas in the rest of the country, it's only like 4.5%. That probable correlation between air pollution and COVID-19 is very striking, isn't it? Heck, I bet most of you out there who watch this show know that per year, more than 4 million people die due to poor air quality. So these papers don't surprise me. And well, it's a big one. Caution is needed here, folks. These studies are the first to note that this correlation, that is like, does A cause B, might be due to other reasons. The Harvard paper said that they controlled for population size, hospital beds, number of individuals tested, weather, and socioeconomic and behavioral variables, including but not limited to obesity and smoking. That's a pretty impressive feat, but does control for population density, the number of people per square kilometre, and, well, is it done on a per capita basis? These are questions we should be asking. And, well, the Denmark study, they tried to control for these too, but noted that if a different data set was used, that's like a fancy term to describe some data that's been collated around a unique body of work. A good example would be climate, which would have in a table form temperature, precipitation, and like hourly, daily, or yearly figures. Tableized, yeah? It makes the task of testing a hypothesis faster and, well, something that can be recreated and others can also test. So, where was I? Right, data set. So, the Denmark paper noted that if you used the wrong data to test this theory, you might arrive at a false conclusion, better known as like a false positive. For example, use one data set and high pollution levels equals high mortality rate from COVID-19, but use another and there isn't a link at all. Why is that? Well, recalling earlier how I noted that WHO's findings about air pollution and health, the legacy of our poor air means that people and the products that where they live, the access to healthcare, education, income, occupational safety, education, and well, a lot more. It's best described by who termed this social determinants of health, and they are, and importantly not limited to, the circumstances in which people grow, live, work, age, and the systems put in place to deal with illness. The conditions in which people will live and die are in turn shaped by political, social, and economic forces. So it shouldn't come as a surprise then that on the one hand, we sit up and we pay attention to studies like these, particularly politicians who play a significant role in the outcomes of our health. But also, we have to use a bit of caution and don't jump to premature conclusions about them. So don't get me wrong, my take-home message is this. All new knowledge is valuable for science and the authorities in these very challenging times. And more so, now more than ever, the importance of continuing to enforce existing air pollution regulations to protect human health is a must. But caution is needed, and more research must be done. If you'd like to learn more about this, I encourage you to please go check out what Zach and Jesse have done from Now You Know. The link's up here somewhere, also down there. They've done an awesome job as to what it means and what the future can actually look like. Alright, time for one of my favourite segments, and it's mail time. And first up, let's get the poll from last week where I discussed around the joystick idea that Hyundai is putting forward, and 70% of you supported joysticks. Surprising. I support them, but I thought it would actually be less than that. And well, some of the positive comments around that were like this. Carnuts Joe wrote, "You need 2 joysticks connected in parallel, one for each hand so the driver can scratch her nose without having to stop the car." But then there was this flip side where joysticks making heavy machinery slower every update, as crashes and other accidents seem to happen more often these things. Peter Cook wrote, "Put the joysticks on ICE cars. EVs need to become normal to be accepted." This is not normal. Yeah, fair enough, and I agree. I've said many times that our usage of the term EV to differentiate it from all other cars is something that we don't normally do with cars, or do we? We kind of do talk about diesels sometimes, not so much. But yeah, let's see if we can get that words around cars and nomenclature and just call a Tesla Model 3 a Tesla Model 3, not a Tesla Model 3 EV, and so on and so forth. Good point. Sydney EV, also known as Rob, he wrote, "Stick controls pitch and roll, and yaw is via rubber pedals. Don't! But being a pilot, I would not like to drive with a stick." Interesting perspective there, and yeah, I'd be curious to see what it actually would feel like. Hyundai, if you ever get this thing to actual reality, and you're still testing it, invite me. Please, thanks. And sticking with Rob for a second, he wrote this around Mazda and its biofuels. "Big problem with burning fuel, be it renewable or carbon neutral, will still produce particulate matter, which is a dangerous form of pollution which kills many people a year." Yep, alright, see above my last story, which was down back there somewhere. Okay. And one last little bit, and that was obviously my video around the Tesla ventilator, and oh my gosh, the reaction to this and the number of views has just been amazing. It's blown my mind, I kid you not. A lot of the comments have been both encouraging, thankful, and it touches my heart to see people responding this way. And I thank you for watching and putting your thoughts down below. Some were definitely a little bit more technical, and yeah, I think to that, I'm gonna have a friend help me. Hang on a second. Hey, Nash. Hey, how are you?
Hi there, guys.
Hey, thanks for joining
I'm
me.
good. Thank you very much. How are you?
I'm excellent.
Thanks, mate. Thank you for having me.
Oh no, I thank you for for being on my show, because seriously, what you did with that diagram, I just talk me through it, because what I saw in the video versus talk me through it. It's amazing.
Okay, so I watched the video. First of all, I was extremely impressed. And I thought that these guys are absolute heroes for doing this. Yeah. And that's what prompted me to do this. And of course, you know that I have a little bit of background in healthcare. Yeah. So I wanted to break it down because the schematic was rushed through. But there was so much in it that I thought was so interesting. And the first point was, it is a version 6.3 of the schematic, and they've not been sitting idle. It's not in version 1.0, so it is 6.3. So they have gone through a little bit of revisions, and that's why they were able to make a prototype. So that impressed me a lot. Yeah. And the second thing I saw was the schematic was quite well drawn, but it was rushed through. And so what I did was I sat down and I meticulously drew that on a piece of paper. So like so. Yeah. And then I just had to, and then I had to go and recreate it. I used Keynote because all these blocks are pre-made on Keynote. It's much easier instead of drawing them by hand. And then I just had to replace the boxes. So if you see the diagram itself, all of these is I mean, I had to recreate the whole thing, but it is done to scale, I think, exactly like what they showed on the whiteboard. And I thought it was really impressive, mate.
Yeah, agreed. And look, there's a lot going on here, and I appreciate that the amount of time and effort that took to do this is just phenomenal. So well done.
Anything for Tesla.
Hey, absolutely. I got to say that, you know, what you've demonstrated here is actually a lot of the things around like the warming and humidification that I miss. So can you talk us through what you think about that?
Right, mate. So there's this line which goes down here, and this says this is outside the Tesla system, and this is inside the Tesla system. And like they said on the video, and I did point it out on my video as well, Tesla has tried to use as little of the medical parts as possible, because they did not want to go and touch the supply stream of the medical parts for the ventilators who are being for the people who are producing medical ventilators right now. They didn't want to go and touch those parts, and it was because of a tweet which went out to Elon. I don't remember who it was. It was one of the ventilator manufacturers who had said, "Can you please try to reduce the number of medical parts that are used?" So this these segments, as you can see on the video, are inside the Tesla ventilator, and this one is outside.
Yep.
And you can see this and everything which is to the left of this line. You can only see two blue parts, which are the blue parts stand for medical components, and all the rest are red parts, which are Tesla components. They try to use as many Tesla components as possible, and that is why I think that they externalized the external filter, the external humidifier, and the HEPA filter outside the system, so that one, maybe the hospital already has these humidifiers which are lying, there, which are not being used, and they can use that. And second, Tesla does not have to go and touch the medical supply screen. And thirdly, most importantly, they don't have to go and test products or test parts which they are not familiar with. So they are happy to go and test these red parts, because these red parts, they know exactly what is happening, because they've used these parts over and over and again. They know the reliability of those parts, what are the leak structures, what are the ampere rates they would draw, so on and so forth. So because they knew so much, they kept to that, is what I think, mate.
Exactly.
I may be wrong, but that's an intelligent hunch, I suppose.
Typically, yes, you can get circuits that along the journey actually have some warming and humidification. I'll put on the screen now, there's a Fisher and Paykel version that we typically use. And the other sort of more technical question that was asked that I'm happy to answer here now was that when you're doing PEEP, you don't want to also be putting out too much of your medical gases, like pumping into the patient rather. And so on an anesthetic circuit, which is a circle circuit system, they actually have a scavenger system where it goes through a soda lime system that then recirculates the oxygen and pulls off their CO2 and it gets absorbed in the soda lime. And that way it actually uses less medical gases. But with an ICU ventilator, they don't actually have that normally. Well, some ventilators do, but some don't. And what I can see here from your diagram is they've actually got exhale pressure valves and flow rate limiters. So I'm thinking what they're doing here is on expiration from the patient's lungs, they're actually restricting the outflow of air to keep the alveoli open and help actually ventilate the patient.
I think they do two things here. One is, if you go to this part of the supply box, there's a mixing chamber, and that mixing chamber is, I think, would take both hospital air, ambient air, and O2 supplies. And I'm sure this O2 supply is switchable to anesthetic gases as well, if need be, nitrous and so on and so forth. And this mixing chamber, which the flow rate is all adjustable here. You can see that they are airflow regulators at every step, which can be changed to what they want the setting to be. So they have not taken any shortcuts. So this is not a use once during COVID and forget it kind of product. This can be used as a ventilator in day-to-day use in non-COVID situations as well. So they've not taken any shortcuts. From this very diagram, we can understand that they have thought about the very broad use of ventilation, because we know that ventilation can be by pressure, by volume, by breath, by amount of oxygen you want to be delivered. There are multiple ways of doing ventilation per se, in layman terms, instead of without going into very technical jargon here. So they have done that. So that is why I think that this supply valve has the mixing chamber, which will be the last one which feeds into the inspiration valve. You see, so that can be changed depending on what they want the ventilator to be. If, God forbid, that this ventilator has to be wheeled into the operation theater and become an anesthetic ventilation, they can just switch the O2 supply here or the hospital air to nitrous or some other anesthetic mixture that they have, and the mixing chamber will give them what percentage of each component would be there in the flow that goes into the inspiration valve. Really well done, mate. I was very impressed that they went down this path instead of just taking a shortcut. You know what they could have done? I'm sure you know this, mate. They could have dispensed with this entire supply. And they could have said, "Oh, we can just directly supply an external source from a hospital supply." No, they did not do that. That's where I was impressed. Not because I'm a Tesla fanboy, which I am, but besides that, they could have dispensed with this entire supply box and saved loads and loads of time by directly going to the inspiration valve and saying, oh, it can accept existing sources, which they did not do. They said that they thought about it. They said, okay, no, you know, this patient, this ventilator may become a life-saving product down the line.
Yes.
God forbid.
Yeah.
You know, God forbid.
Well,
they said, no, we will do it the right way.
Yeah. One of the messages on my comments was that, don't forget, Tesla is not only a car company, or a technology company. And look, this could actually be a new product line for them, medical.
Very much so, very much so. If they right now they're giving it out for free.
Yeah.
But if push comes to shove and we're able to tie, we will definitely be able to tide over the situation. I'm an optimist all the time.
Yeah.
This situation is going to change for sure. When, we don't know.
Yeah.
We are trying to flatten the curve. I want to take this opportunity to thank every single person who is inside the house, because they are all heroes, because they are saving lives. That is fantastic. That is really good. I'm really thankful that everybody who's staying inside are heroes in our books.
Yeah.
We are medical professionals. We go into work every day, scared that we may get it, but we have to go because we are saving patients. But everybody who's staying inside are heroes too.
Yeah.
So having said that, so that's why I thought down the line it can become a product all by itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, thanks again for coming on the show. And I'm just going to talk to the camera for a second.
Absolutely.
I highly recommend, go check out Nash's video. He goes step by step through his diagram, and I think you approach it from a good engineering perspective here. So thank you for that. And do check out Nash's channel. It's awesome. It's growing. You've got 110 videos or so now, I think. Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
You know,
and about 620 odd subscribers. I'm really thankful to every one of them.
Yeah. Okay. So do check him out. And Nash, you take care, mate.
Thanks, mate. Thank you very much. You too, mate. What you do is awesome. Awesome. Utmost respect for what you do, mate. Respect.
Cheers. Virtual fist bump. Boom.
What you do.
All right.
With social distancing.
Absolutely. Alrighty, okay, so that was mail time. Look, if you've got any questions that you'd like to maybe have featured on air, put them down below. I do like to hear from you, sincerely. I try to reply to most, but, well, that last video, that was impossible. It was like 12,000, not 12,000, there's more than 1,200 comments so far, so thank you. Love it, really do. And yeah, let's keep this going. Now, let's get into some bites. Battery day has been postponed. No! Yeah, well, Elon tweeted this last week that it's going to be maybe mid-May, which is, well, not surprising given the current circumstances. At the World Car Awards, 2 EVs got the gong over some world petrol competitors. The Kia Soul, which is, well, this one, wherever it might be on the screen right now, which won't get to Australia because of, well, reasons I explained in this video. So it picked up World Urban Car of the Year. And Porsche, they also won like 2 awards, the World Luxury and Performance Car of the Year. Well done to both of you. Side note, sadly the jury gave the coveted 2020 World Car of the Year to the Kia Telluride. That's a gas-guzzling chunk of a car with a dismal efficiency rating of like 21 miles per gallon. That's like 11.2 litres per 100 kilometres. Best case scenario. And well, compared to Tesla Model 3 Standard Range Plus of like 141 miles per gallon equivalent, or maybe a better comparison, the Model X with 96 miles per gallon, I hope the jury considers more fuel-efficient cars next year. Unlike the World Awards, which is like comprised of 80 motor journalists from around the world, one which can relate to in Australia, kind of, is the Kelley Blue Books, the American version. And they gave Tesla 5 out of 6 awards in the luxury image segment. This, Kelley Books explains, is given in recognition of automakers who excel in creating and maintaining brand attributes that create excitement around their products. Only miss out on 1 award, they bagged the title for Best Value, Most Refined, Best Performance and Best Styling. Sticking with Tesla, the falling Aussie dollar, crikey, has meant that Tesla has increased its pricing on the Model 3 by about $6,000 or 9%. American viewers, that's about this much money for a Standard Range Plus. Yikes. And folks, well, this sucks and well makes this great car even less affordable down under. Not only because of the exchange rate, but also the taxes which typically add at least $10,000 to the price of a car in Australia. Now, I'm unsure if across the ranges prices have increased, so if you actually know, can you please put it down in the comments? First one to do so will get it pinned to the top. Good job. One last bite, and this comes from the UK, where thousands of homes will be paid to use electricity during the day for the first time, as well renewable energy supplies surge during the coronavirus lockdown. Noted due to the closure of businesses, factories and people working from home, this past weekend customers could earn between 0.22 of 1 pence to 3.3 pence per kilowatt hour. That's just 0.065 of a cent. Not amazing, but it's significant and perhaps maybe a taste of things to come in the near future where there's more renewables online. Yeah, imagine it. You'd be like, honey, turn on the air conditioner and the heater and the dishwasher and charge up the EV because we're getting paid. We're getting paid. Okay, 10 internet points if you can name one of the co-inventors of lithium-ion batteries. Vote now. If you answered John Goodenough, then you win. Well, nothing. But thanks for playing. Anyhow, Goodenough, now 94 years of age, is an American material scientist, a solid-state physicist, and Nobel laureate in chemistry. He's widely credited with the identification and development of the lithium-ion battery, which back in the 80s was actually a bit of a snooze fest. Seriously, it was looked past by many industries. Ironic, right? Anyway, times have changed, and so whilst there have been heaps of talk about solid-state batteries, and boy have I talked about many times on this show, even last week, when someone like Goodenough files a patent, then well, we should take a close look at it, right? So what researchers have done is found that glass can be used in lithium batteries instead of lithium, instead of the lithium ion. That's the important bit. So named lithium sodium glass batteries, the technology has 3 times the energy storage capacity of a comparable lithium-ion battery. It also costs less to manufacture, is non-flammable, can withstand a wider range of temperatures between negative 20 degrees Celsius to 60 degrees Celsius positive, and can be rapidly charged. Can you imagine the ramifications of this? 1,500 kilometers on one charge, 0 to 100% full in 5 to 10 minutes, and a battery life of 1.5 million kilometers. If you ask me, this is something that even die-hard petrol fans would jump at. Well, as long as maybe the car surrounding it had a name badge and what looks that they were looking for. Want to learn more? Please follow the story below, written by Bridie Schmidt from The Driven, and there you'll not only find this story, but also all the ones that I spoke about on today's show. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed this little mini marathon episode. As per usual, if you haven't already, subscribe. It does support the channel. I really do encourage that. If you use my Tesla referral code, thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. What are we up to so far? Okay, good to know. Thanks also to my Patreons for supporting the work that I do here, and also to Tesla Taxi Australia in sponsoring this show. If you're going to give us a comment, please do whack it down below. Keep it nice, constructive. I like that, I really do, and so do others. And I really sincerely do hope you're well, you and your friends and family. Take tremendous care of yourselves, and you know what to do. Be good and be green.